Africa's startup scene is calling out loud and investors are coming in droves. Investment in tech companies across the continent more than tripled in just 4 years. Everyone wants a slice of the startup pie. This is Business Africa on DW. I'm Gerhard Elfers in Berlin. Welcome. Jumia is the largest e-commerce company on the African continent, and it went public just a few weeks ago. Some call it a turning point for Africa's tech ecosystem. It is the first Africa-focused tech company to launch on a major global exchange. It's not the only company on the continent that caught investors' attention. Things really are moving fast for startups in Africa now. Funding has increased strongly in recent years. In 2015, investment came in at around $200 million. In 2018, startup investment in Africa jumped to a record $700 million. That was spread over 450 deals from all types of sectors. In line with previous years, Nigeria, South Africa and Kenya are the continent's most advanced and valuable tech ecosystems, and they continue to dominate there as the leading investment destinations. Let's bring in Moses Acquah. He's a startup coach based here in Berlin and specializing in African tech companies. Moses, welcome to the studio. Thank you. Your work seems to bear fruit, as we're hearing. Why are the African startups attracting rising investments now?
I would say the African startups are actually now beginning to attract investors because nowadays they are being conscientized to be able to make sure that their approach goes towards what we call the SARA, which is sustainable development, which is also affordable development, and affordable in a sense that it is subjective to your target audience. And then also it should be relevant to the audience that you have, let's say your consumers in the country, which is local, but also globally. And again, the last bit I would say, it should be accessible to all. And I think that being taught these things are actually now helping open the doors to more investors to come in, because again, now products that are made thanks to technology are actually going beyond borders. They can actually, what we call the GLOCAL products, because they can be local, but at the same time global. So it can be used...
Scalable.
Exactly,
okay.
Yeah.
We heard that economies like Kenya or South Africa are leading the pack there. What can smaller or weaker economies across the continent learn from these countries?
So I would say, again, it's about the tip factor, where we talk about technology, innovation and policy. And I think that these weaker economies should also start seeing what are the good things that these countries have done. Taking an example like Kenya, it is part of the policy, and I actually have realized how much the government is really engaged in encouraging startup entrepreneurs to grow, putting the right policies in place. And I think that definitely, yes, we can have technology, we can have innovation, but it's definitely important to have good policy that can really groom and grow these startup ecosystem within the countries.
If I was an investor and asked you where to invest in Africa, you said you just mentioned the factors that are important. Is there any country that sticks out? Any country that that could be the next big startup thing?
I don't want to be biased, but definitely you look at population. I would look at Nigeria, for instance, because it is really growing. And again, one thing that I have to say, which is important, is that startup is a bootstrap. So you're supposed to quickly bootstrap and become a very big organization like an SME, or even grow to become a big industry. So definitely, if you're an investor, you need to look at how you can be able to scale or be able to exit.
And numbers.
Exactly. So definitely I would look at Kenya. I would also look at Nigeria. And of course, one thing we should always realize is that the Francophone countries are very attractive. Unfortunately, most often, because when we're talking about the startup ecosystem, we talk about the US. And so normally we forget the Francophone countries. There are also sweet spots there.
What kind of companies are receiving the most investments right now, briefly, if you can?
So I would say it's fintech, agri-tech, clean tech, and then, of course, edutech. And again, what we see is anything that is enabled by technology that can take you to the next scale, the next level, definitely is receiving a lot of investment.
Moses Acquah, thank you very much for this insight.
Thank you very much.